I'm going to announce this morning that as of June 24th of this year, I will be stepping down as the Republican leader in the Minnesota House of Representatives as the minority leader. It has been an absolute honor to serve. It has been a privilege to serve the 47 members of my caucus, 49 members from 2006 until last fall. And I cannot tell you enough what an honor it has been and a privilege to serve side by side with such distinguished men and women in my caucus. And I want to thank the members for putting their trust in me for the last 3 years. I want to thank my family for their patience and the amount of time it takes to be away from home in putting well over 150,000 miles on my van and on my pickup. And I certainly view the minority leader job as an absolute honor and privilege to have served. And to the privilege of literally sitting in Tim Pawlenty's chair on the House floor for the last 3 years, him having served as the majority leader of our caucus when he decided to leave in 2002. On June 24th of this year, our caucus is already scheduled to meet for our one summer meeting that we have. We usually meet about one-third to one-halfway through the summer anyway. That is one reason I'm announcing this today, is I do not want to drag people back in at another time when folks are on vacation or with their families. This is a previously scheduled caucus for other reasons, strategy and policy and unallotment and other things. And so I thought it made sense for me to make the decision and to give ample opportunity 3 weeks from right now for candidates in our caucus to step forward and to have a new minority leader in the legislature. I want to thank the folks in my district. I will not be resigning my seat, but the minority leader position certainly has been an honor for my part of the state. And I want to thank the folks in my district who didn't see me as frequently the last 3 years as they saw me in the previous since 1996. But representing a somewhat swing district that was carried by Amy Klobuchar, Colin Peterson, Bill Clinton, Dave Minge, Lori Swanson, and others, it is not something that I ever want to take for granted in terms of the seat that I serve on in the legislature. And having the trust and votes of those folks by a 60 to 70% margin in the last 6 election cycles has certainly been an honor. I would tell you that I make this decision knowing that we had a good session as Republicans. We got our ideas out there. We had a lot of solutions for the budget. We had the door open and the phone on to negotiate with the Democrats. I still had my weekly meetings with the Speaker. I would urge my successor to continue meeting with the Speaker on a regular basis and not doing some type of a boycott or have any type of situation where they feel that they should not meet with Democrats to get their ideas, their input on the bills, the process, the rules, and everything else going on with the administration of the House. And that is something that I want to tip my hat to the Speaker on, is in treating me very much as an equal leader in the process. And so I do want to thank her for the regular meetings that we had to show that Democrats and Republicans, although in public certainly we have our moments, that privately we have great affection and great respect for each other. I would also tell the people in this room, as minority leader, this will be my last press conference as minority leader. I have great affection for you folks as well, and I appreciate the treatment that you've given me. As much as people like to say the press corps is so horribly unfair to people like myself, I think I have some personal knowledge that each and every one of you has treated me very professionally, and that I will still be around. And so whether I'm sitting at the big microphone on the House floor over by the dead flowers, you are all welcome to come over and see me. And things may be a little less interesting on the House floor potentially, but I will still have my microphone, I will still have my voting button on the floor, and I will help the caucus and advise my successor in holding our crew together to make sure that we are relevant And in this last particular session, I think we not only had very good ideas that we put forward, but a result that if you are looking for downsizing, right-sizing, and economizing government, the unallotment process, the line item vetoes, and the budget situation being what it is, will result in that. And so a lot of folks, I think, felt that we would not hold together as a caucus this year. I am proud of my 3 years. I'm proud of my staff. We have absolutely an outstanding staff in the House Minority Caucus, an outstanding membership, and I appreciate everything that they've done to keep us together as well. So with that, I do have another engagement. I can stay for a couple more minutes, but by 11:15 I'm heading out to another appointment. So
running for governor. Why are you doing this?
I am considering a run for governor. There are different stages of doing things. There's consideration, there's exploration, and there's a full-fledged run. And I know some people joke about that with people who run for office and want to serve, but this is a big decision. And as I mentioned to some of the folks here earlier, this is just me saying this as an honest person. If you are the minority leader and you are considering a run for another office, your job as minority leader is to recruit candidates, to raise money, to manage the staff, and manage the 47 members. And if you are distracted any way, even if it's kicking the tires for a run at some other type of office, that is not fair to the membership. Now, I could keep the office and use the position to raise money and to get delegates and call people and say, hey, you know, you'd be a good House candidate. Oh, by the way, they're a delegate to the state convention. How flattering. I don't want to play those types of political games. The honest, integrity way of doing things is to step aside and to not have a conflict of interest in saying, you know what, I'm going to stand as minority leader and I'm going to try to do both things. I don't think that's fair to my caucus members. And so I made that decision. My wife fully supports that. And I did talk to our caucus executive board yesterday before I made the final decision. We're going to be meeting this afternoon to set up the time frame for the special election. It will be on the 24th. It's just a question of what time of the day. But I don't think it's fair, even if you're kicking the tires, to try to have some type of a dual situation.
How serious are you about running for governor?
Well, very serious. I mean, it certainly is an opportunity. If the folks that show up at events that I may have or people I talk to on the phone are not interested or feel there'd be a better candidate, then something else will happen. But I know that there will be an off-year state convention for the first time in years on the GOP side on September 19th in St. Cloud. And, you know, I would submit that folks who are kicking the tires may have a straw poll potentially. I don't know about that. The executive committee has to make a decision. But whether I'm running or not, that decision is going to be made at another time. I have to find out if the initial support is there. If it's not, I can potentially just pull the plug at that point and say, you know what, we've got some other folks to choose from. I believe in a multiplicity of people. I'm a Republican. I believe in the marketplace. And so the marketplace should be full, a full menu of choices for people who have exciting ideas and new things to offer the people of Minnesota. I don't believe in coronations. And I think part of the problem we've had in some of the elections of past is we've had coronations, not contests. And I think contests sometimes bring out the interests of people and get the best ideas on the table.
So you're exploring, you're considering, you're running. Where do we put you on that spectrum?
Considering.
In past sessions, you used the term Democrat on Democrat violence and made the comparisons to the watering hole and the National Geographic documentaries. We're entering a phase now of Republican on Republican violence. I mean, how are you guys going to sort this out?
Well, I believe in Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment of not speaking ill of another Republican. And so I encourage everyone to get in that has any interest. The opportunity is there. Everyone will get their ideas out on the table. But, you know, there's a certain point that you reach in time where if the support isn't there, if the money is not there, etc., I'm not a personally wealthy person. Some people think that because I have the top position in the legislature that I start out as some type of a front runner. I've been an underdog my whole life. When I ran for my House seat, I was 24 years old. People said you have no chance of winning. Clinton carried my district, as did David Mingy that year. And when I ran for minority leader against now Congressman Paulson, who was then the majority leader, people said I had no chance of winning. And so I always consider myself the underdog in the situation. So I'm not sure. There's not going to be violence coming from this guy. But if people, I certainly have thousands and thousands of votes for people of all persuasions to pour through and to distort and to do things with. But you know what? That's what public service is all about, and I want to make sure people do it.
Mr. Minority Leader, what changed for you besides obviously the governor not running? But a year ago when we brought this idea up to you, you kind of blushed and said you hadn't even thought about it. Obviously something's changed besides the governor.
I mean, a year ago, I hadn't been thinking about something like this, but when opportunities arise to serve, you take a look at it, you talk to your family, and you put in full consideration mode, obviously. But at the end of the day, there's going to be one nominee, and so there's going to be all sorts of people doing consideration and exploring and a full-fledged run. I think there will be various people who will drop out of the process. Some are going to consider and then decide not to do it. Some are going to consider, form an exploratory committee, hit a brick wall, and end. Some will do a full-fledged run and maybe get knocked out at a straw poll. Some will do a full-fledged run and maybe get knocked out at the convention, and maybe there will be a primary. So at the end of the day, a lot changed in the last year. I fully felt that the governor was going to run for a third term last year and encouraged him to do so and said I'd be a state chairman and all the rest of it. But things change, and that's where we're at.
Where do you see the party going in terms of a gubernatorial platform? We hear the Limbaugh-Powell comparison.
Well, the governor's correct is that the party needs to be big enough for both and smart enough to offer solutions. And I think we can't be the party of anger, humorless folks who are out of touch with the average Main Street person out there. We are, I believe, a center-right state. I don't believe we're a far-left state. And at the end of the day, I think the party is going to look for a gentle balance of a person who is principled and electable, both. And we have people who are certainly principled and maybe not so much on the second side, and we have some folks who are probably electable but maybe not so much on the first. We need to find the gentle balance like Tim Pawlenty did of someone who can fit both bills. And if we don't, I think that could spell trouble.
Mr. Leader, you said there could be a primary. Would you see yourself running in a primary if you weren't endorsed by the party?
If I end up doing this, I would abide by endorsement. I would not move forward after that. But I'm not going to say things to delegates just to get their votes. If I end up going forward with a campaign, as some of you know, I have brutal honesty. And so I've already talked to some folks yesterday and this morning that, there's certain things that I'm not going to say to them just to get their vote. And I can share that maybe at a later time, but the Republican nominating electorate, some folks are looking for different things than maybe what I'm willing to tell them. So at that point, when, we move down the road, we'll find out what people's interests are. But I honestly think that as we move forward to this next stage, we've got to get a new leader in place. And that's really what the discussion about today is, not a gubernatorial press conference, but a transition in the opening up a scramble for whoever the next person may be that will take over in control of the House. Because as was mentioned by someone in the hallway, in 2006, Matt Intenz, I believe, kept his position, but they somehow designated Margaret Kelleher as the heir apparent, and 19 seats later was Speaker of the House. And so I would tell Republicans, if we have a good year next year, know what you're doing, because the person that you are selecting very likely could be Speaker of the House after next year's elections. And that's what happened in 2006 when the pendulum was swinging the other way. If the pendulum swings back, this is a serious decision. And, Matt Intenza went and did his own thing with other circumstances, but a fairly little-known legislator at the time ended up being elevated to Speaker, and a lot of people, I think, don't realize how the pendulum swings in these House seats. So this is a pretty important decision that's going to be made on June 24th.
Are these other tax pledges a thing of the past?
I haven't given that consideration yet.
Do you have an heir apparent?
There isn't an heir apparent, to be honest with you. In my opinion, I have talked to a couple members who are interested in running, but that's one reason I wanted to do this today, here and now, was to give ample time of 3 weeks for people to campaign for the position, get their ideas out there, find out what the membership is thinking. People are going to model their own leadership style, and so whether they're going to be like me or not, everyone, I'm not Steve Swigum. Steve Swigum wasn't Terry Dempsey. Terry Dempsey wasn't Bill Schreiber. Bill Schreiber wasn't Dave Jennings. We've had all sorts of different leaders with different styles. And so the expectation, I think, is going to be what's best for the caucus and how do we get the majority back. And
How far along are you right now for candidate recruitment? Would you say you're a third of the way, half the way there in terms of recruiting candidates?
I would say we're about where we were 2 years ago at this time, where we have a lot of people who are interested in running. We have a lot of people interested in running again who came close. And then we have some folks who are in the consideration mode, the exploratory mode, and the full-fledged running mode. I would say we're probably not halfway there. But in some of these contested races, I believe in a multiplicity of candidates. And so I think if we could have 3, 4, or 5 excellent candidates in all of these House seats battling it out, I think that's fantastic. Hopefully the cream will rise to the top.
Should the Speaker follow your example if she decides to pursue a gubernatorial campaign?
I think that's up to her, and it's up to her caucus. If her caucus, obviously my announcement today may put some interesting pressure on her because, I'm saying today you need to be focused on what's good for the caucus, and what's good for a campaign of some sort for some other office may not necessarily be what's good for the caucus at large, and that they're going to have to make a value judgment. Is she going to raise money for their caucus and say, oh, by the way, give me money for my campaign? If she decides to do that, that is entirely up to her. I'm not going to lecture anyone on what they should do. I just want, for the sake of my integrity, I don't feel that I should be using the position to try to raise money or to try to get delegates. It comes off as a bit seedy, and so I decided just to cut it clean today and do the right thing.
Do you know a day or a time when you'll decide whether you're running for governor or not? Will it be that September straw poll, or will it be before that?
I don't know yet, to be honest. I know that's not a great answer in politics, but I honestly don't know. It'll be sometime in the coming months.
But are you contacting people? Tell us the steps that, when you're considering something, what steps do you do?
Well, I have people contacting me, and then I'm contacting people. So mainly county chairmen and BPOU chairs in the various Senate districts. I think I've got about 13, 14, 15 BPOU chairs that have either contacted me or I've contacted them. So far, a supermajority have either encouraged me to run or said that they would be my chair or whatnot. It's more than a supermajority. It'd probably be 11 of the 13 as of this morning. So I would say right now I'm feeling very good about the support that's there. And it's in Duluth, it's in the metro, obviously back home, but that's a small sample. We've got an enormous amount of things going on, and we have a whole new set of caucus attendees that show up in February. But the tradition is showing about 75% of the delegates are kind of the same folks who show up year after year, so it's usually a pretty good indication of where you're at. So, we'll take it as it comes.
How many candidates do you expect there to be?
No, I hope a lot. I think that's the whole piece of this, is to get the best candidate. It may or may not be me. It might be somebody else. But the cream of the crop will rise up, and I'm hoping 5 to 10. I don't want to be the only candidate. I want people to earn their way and not get coronated.
How old are you, leader?
37. I was born April 23rd of 1972. And I know a lot of people are going to say you're young, you're German in a Scandinavian state, you're Catholic in a Lutheran state, and all this other stuff. And the reality is, take a page out of the Obama playbook, is people don't care about that stuff. Maybe they did 30 years ago, but I think now it's about big ideas, not big government or what box you check off on the demographic form. Certainly some of those things are maybe not helpful. I don't know. I've been I've been a union member for a majority of my working life. Is that going to help me at the Republican convention? I don't know. I've been a school teacher. I'm rural. My dad had an 8th grade education. Those things are probably not things people are looking for as compared to people who come from the big name families and some money and so forth. So,
would you follow Palente's policies? Would there be anything that you would carve out differently, or would it be Palente 3 if you were elected governor?
That's all for another day. Today is about stepping down as minority leader, and I probably have already answered too many questions about that. So with that, I'm over time for my next deal, and I want to thank you guys, and don't be strangers. As I said, you folks have been very good, and I want to thank you for being my last press thing with you. I do appreciate that you guys have treated me very well. So thank you.